This happened to be a, these were some early sketches for a Spanish or Mexican courtyard in a theme park where there were going to be shops and restaurants and that sort of thing. So all the buildings ended up, how do I show them this? This was a typical facade of one side of the courtyard, and this is not a good print, but the building style was something that I had to apply sketchily at the beginning, and then indicate some colors. And this happens to be the plan of the courtyard. And all these buildings are surrounding it. These are examples of rendering. This was a stage plan, actually, of rock work, and it doesn't make much sense if you don't have the whole scheme of things. But I use prints, blackline prints, and markers for everything that I did. That was the easiest and quickest way for me to get the idea and to get a third dimension into things, to utilize shadows and forms and work very quickly with my sketches. And these are all very quick sketches. This was another rock work. This is the apron of the stage. The audience was out here, and all of this was being built as like almost a 3-story set. This was another quick sketch of another set for the same show. I don't know that these are all that helpful, but.
I have a website.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably the best example. Those elevations are the best example of the work I did. While this happens to be in Dubai, and those facades were in a mall that was built on the Palm, that first palm tree island that's out into the Gulf. All of those small elevations there, and the ones at the top are just enlargements of some of the smaller ones. They were all facades that went around a moat that was in the center of this mall that was a donut. Huge 3-4-story donut, big hole in the middle, and down in the middle was a waterway.
Yeah, we started your website last week.
Okay.
I brought it up.
Oh, okay.
Darken the room and turn the lights off. So
And all those were elevations of the facades of shops and restaurants that faced the waterway. And it continued. Once I surrounded the circular waterway, the sheikh or his representative said, "We want more water. How can we get more water?" Because more people wanted to be facing waterway than being up in the regular mall setting. So we cut a channel through the whole mall and brought the water in from one side, took it out the other side, and put the island in the middle of the donut. And so there was natural stuff as well. And everything had to be themed Mediterranean. Greece, Tunisia, Morocco, anything on the Mediterranean ended up in the facades. And so all of those different facades had to be created, even though they were on the face of a boutique or a restaurant or whatever. And all of what you see on the lower part of that is the wall, the bulkhead wall of the waterway, because boats came in there and had to drop people off. You can see some steps on the left. Yeah. Boats would drop people off there, and they would climb the steps up to the promenade and then go back into the shops. Well, eventually what happened was we put a waterway around the mall as well as inside the mall so that there was more facade on both sides of that waterway. It was an elaborate thing, and I'm pretty certain they ended up building it. I haven't seen it because I was there for 4 months, and then I left, and I haven't been back since. So. But that's what was happening there. But I was given a blank surface and told to create a Mediterranean look. In other places, in other theme parks, it was Spanish, or it was a Greek ruin, or it was the land of Aladdin, or Merlin, or whatever. So there were.
Some of it futuristic? Some stuff, theme parks that were futuristic?
They have elements in them. Yeah, I mean, I did one part, one area. I had to do the city of Metropolis because we were dealing with, was that Superman? Yeah, I did Batman. I had to create the period look of that time, and then there was another place where everything was super futuristic. There were robots, and there were people walking around with, what are they?
Cell phones in there.
Not cell phones. They were walking around with computer. When they insert something on your,
Chips?
yeah, chips. Everybody was walking around with these things stuck to their heads, and there were vehicles flying through the air, and everything was on cables or whatever. But so you had to constantly change your thinking and constantly change the look from something very rugged and natural like stonework or rubble, or you had to make everything glass and very slick and shiny. The only material that the materials that I used mainly were markers and pencils, color pencils, because you can take color pencil and lay it down and then put the marker over top and get that pencil to work for you. You apply a little bit of the marker to it, and it softens the color pencil so that you can move it around and get a lot of different kinds of shading with it. So I would start with pencil many times and render something lightly in the colors I wanted. Then I would find the colors I wanted to put over top with the marker, and let the pencil underneath give me some texture. Because marker itself, if you're working at a large enough scale, you can get some texture with it, but you have to either add it after or underlay the marker to get the kind of thing you want. So.
Interesting, because the textbook,
Right.
it says the opposite. Well, they say don't put, you're much better than the textbook, but
Well,
the textbook
everybody
goes
has-
with a marker first to get the tone, and then the pencil on top, because it's wax, will cover up the marker.
yeah, well, you can do it either way. That's fine. You can do that. I use the pencil underneath so that I could get additional color with the marker. I could bleed across the surface and apply the pencil dark on one side, not so dark on the other. Then when I put the marker to it, I could play with it a little, especially for things like stonework or brickwork. I was able to get a lot more range than just working with marker. The markers are so absolute when you put them down, and it depends so much on the paper. Like this is just regular copy paper, and it just soaks the marker up, and you can't do anything with it. But this paper is a much heavier paper and has a smoother kind of finish to it, and you can play with the marker a little bit more and get it to bleed and move it around a little bit. This is the very heavy paper. There may be just